All right, well, welcome back to Between Sets with Frankie Seda. What you're about to watch, I just finished a conversation with Vito D'Ambrosio, and honestly, what hit me hardest sitting across from Vito today wasn't the stories about Chicago culture, leadership. It was hearing pieces of my own life reflected back to me through a man who has already walked, decades down the road. And I guess you start realizing after a while that, wisdom usually doesn't arrive loud. It arrives quietly, through consistency, through sacrifice, through people that keep showing up year after year without needing applause, every 5 minutes. And honestly, I needed those kind of men in my life because if I'm being truthful, I've made mistakes myself. I've wasted a lot of energy in the past, participating in drama, whether it be gossip, caring too much about the opinions of what people who were honestly just lost themselves thought about me. And the older I get, I guess the more I realize how, poisonous that cycle really is. And it feeds on itself. Nobody grows, nobody heals, and I guess nobody builds anything meaningful in all that time. And somewhere along the line, I just got tired of the noise. Tired of fake competitions, tired of ego. You'll hear us talk about that. Tired of people tearing each other apart while pretending it's being teamwork, right? It's just what I saw in Vito today was something much older than modern culture, and honestly much stronger than it too. I just look at him and I see faith, duty, community, real leadership, and the understanding that your name actually means something, that your word means something, that your family and your character should still matter. When the music stops and the lights go off, that's old school. And maybe the world laughs at old school right now. Maybe culture wants to keep moving us faster. Maybe it wants people isolated, distracted, addicted to attention ourselves, addicted to outrage, addicted to constantly performing versions of ourselves, instead of just becoming the real us, who we really are. But I don't think the answer is actually becoming colder the more I'm looking at it. I think the answer is becoming more real again. And I'm just going to say it. For me personally, that foundation starts with Christ. I'm a Catholic. I believe in Jesus Christ unapologetically. Not because I think I'm perfect, because trust me, I know I'm not. But the older I get, the more I realize nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever improved on that message. Love God, love people, you carry your cross, you forgive, you serve, stay humble, and stand strong anyway. That's timeless. It's unbeatable. And honestly, sitting with men like Vito, my dad, I, it's just been, it reminds me that legacy is not, it's not fame. And, Anthony and Ron carried that too. And legacy is how people feel you after they leave your presence, and it's whether your children become stronger because of you, whether your community becomes better because of you, whether people trust you when life gets difficult, I guess whether your faith still stands when the world's just getting loud, because that's so important. So, and I guess at the end, that's the kind of man I'm trying to become myself. I'm not just the entertainer Frankie Seda. I feel like I don't know. Truthfully, this version of me only exists because of older, wiser people chose patience with me when they didn't have to. And maybe that's what this whole thing really comes back to. And underneath the politics, the culture wars, social media, all the division, most of us just carrying something heavy. We're all carrying some kind of cross. And if we could just slow down long enough to actually look each other in the eyes again, we probably realize we're not that different after all. So thank you again for everybody watching this. Thank you again, Vito. Uh, that conversation and that we're about to have, it meant more to me than you probably know. So thank you guys for watching, and here we go. Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Between Sets with Frankie Seda. Today, I'm very, very excited to welcome another man I've come to respect and admire. So, before we begin the questions today, I just want to take a moment to officially say thank you to Vito, welcome and introduce him to our guests that don't know him. Vito, for decades, he has been a cornerstone of Italian American community here in Chicago. He was born in Salerno, Italy. Correct me if I'm wrong. He came over when he was 4 years old, growing up a first generation immigrant with his family rooted in hard work, faith, sacrifice. Now, over the years, he's carried a lot of these values with the community and into the Italian American Executive of Transportations, where he's been the president. Now, under Vito,
the IAET has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for student scholarships. They've helped clothe those in need, supported countless charitable causes, and they just kind of continue to preserve that rich culture of fabric that seems to shape the generations of Italian Americans in Chicago. But on a personal note, for me, Vito, the last couple of years of my life, you have been an incredible, profound influence on me. Your guidance has helped me probably save a couple sinking ships along the way, and you just lead quietly by example, and you're just genuinely you help shape the way I look at my future, my responsibilities, and honestly, the purpose and all of what I'm doing. So having this opportunity to sit down with you today means a great deal to me personally. And with that said, I got to ask you the first question. When you hear, the phrase Italian American identity, what does that really mean to you beyond the festivals and parades?
Well, it's a sense of pride. Everybody should be proud of where they came from, regardless of nationality, regardless of anything. You should be proud of where you came from. If you're not, then you really didn't get lessons in life. And when now you say Italian American, to me, that means exactly what it says. We have Italian roots, but we're bred here in America, but we take our values with us.
Absolutely. And now you came to Chicago from Salerno, Italy at the age of 4. Is that correct?
That's correct. A little town in the mountains just outside of Salerno called Rigigliano.
Originally.
There's actually more people here from Rigigliano than there is in Rigigliano right now.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's incredible. So, obviously you entered a world here where your parents, had to work tirelessly to learn English, to assimilate to the here in the United States and build a life, Now looking back on your own, uh, who were the men and women that shaped you most during your early years?
Well, can't say enough about your teachers because we went to a Italian school. My mom made sure of that, Our Lady of Pompeii. So they helped shape. And of course, parents are always there. My father was not around a lot because he was earning money. And he came here the old-fashioned way. He came first, and then he sent for us a year and a half or 2 years later, and he lived with the relatives. No, we didn't have any financial aid. We didn't have any, um, food stamps. We didn't have telephones when we came across. We didn't have a $1,500 a month allowance for being here. We brought here, and it was a great amount of, prejudice that was involved.
Yeah.
So, my parents mainly, even by example, taught me a lot.
So what's one lesson from your mom or dad that you still carry with you to almost every day today? Something that maybe you didn't even fully understand till you got older.
Respect.
Understood. Yeah.
Respect was number one. Of course, when you're young, you don't understand these things. But my mother always used to say, the greatest thing that you can give somebody is respect, and I try to carry that forward.
Well, and I think you lead by example on that one, sir. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now,
I try hard, but I don't always succeed.
and I think, that's one of the things that I've learned a lot about just looking around. The guys, you fall 8 times, you get up 9 times, and I think that's important in the men that are doing it the way you are. So now you've watched that, you kind of mentioned politics, and you've seen decades of political shifts, cultural shifts, changes in America itself. But through it all, what values do you believe remain timeless no matter what changes about us in addition to respect?
That's kind of a tough one, but an easy one at the same time. A lot of conservative values. What I find is most of our community all have conservative values, but they don't label themselves as conservative. We want hard work, we want to earn a living, we want the American dream, and somewhere down the line, society's telling you that you don't need these things, or someone is better than you. You should envy that person. I would say, well, what if I was in that position? You want people to envy me? I mean, what is it all about? I'm very proud to have such good friends that are in such high places. I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of them. I don't envy them. I don't um, want what they have per se. And the biggest blessing I think that someone told me once is, "I hope you have enough," and that says it all. What enough is different things to different people.
Uh,
And that's kind of that's where I'm at. I have enough.
that's beautifully said, Vito, and I think we all, including myself, could learn from that, and just great advice. And I would say that even to my son, when he watches this one, that's just that's good. So now talking about my son, you know, you've met him, but what was young Vito like growing up as a first generation Italian American kid? I want to know, what was your first job? What was your first car?
Oh, man, you're really grilling me on this one.
All right.
I started working early, actually, Falbo cheese.
Okay.
My mother got me a job to keep me off the street. Believe it or not, I got in trouble a lot. So go figure, right? That's the way I was. And the dollar a day just to get me off the street.
Wow.
Then went downtown and worked Acme, a job that's not uh, done anymore the way it was done because of the electronic age. And one thing, the computers went away.
Yeah.
I was delivering blueprints
Oh
for a
wow.
company called Acme, right out of the Madinock building,
Wow.
Chicago's first skyscraper. Yeah,
Different time. See.
and yeah, we walk anywhere from 18 to 25 miles a day delivering blueprints to all the different engineering firms.
And what a difference the skyline had to even look. You know, that's the first skyline, right? Like, that was the first
Yeah,
first building. So that's pretty incredible. You know, now, and I got to say, like,
yeah.
a lot of our younger, like the generations that are younger than you, younger than me, I feel like they are growing up in this world of, you know, social media, you know, shorter attention span, and a lot less, I mean, human contact since COVID. But you know, on one side, you know, what worries you most about that shift? But then on the other side of the coin, what still gives you hope for the next generation?
I think the next generation, we always kind of put them down. It's not like it used to be. I walked to school with holes in my shoes,
Uphill both
every time we
ways.
had
Yeah.
a rip in our pants, we had to patch it up and all the rest of that good stuff. Um, this generation doesn't do that. The biggest problem with this generation basically is the phone, having face-to-face communication, and it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time. So that needs to be controlled, the phase of AI. But I think that now there is more publicity about what the electronic age is doing to kids, how the suicide rates have gone up. And because of that, there's more awareness. And with awareness comes change. So I'm very optimistic about the future in that respect.
Well, that's a blessing. You know, I told my daughter this summer I'm teaching you the word boredom. We're gonna learn that word, and I think it's important. You know, we're gonna get her out to the woods a little bit. They got their last 2 weeks of school. You know, so looking forward to that, because I think that is a thing. You know, we even for me, you know, I didn't. I think I had my first pager or beeper when I was about 16 years old. You know, we didn't have the cell phones yet, so I'm blessed to still have that where, you know, I don't think we got my first. My dad brought, I think, the first computer home. I was probably in eighth grade, freshman year of high school. You know, but you know, that's the way it goes. But you know, Chicago, I do feel it used to be more neighborhood driven, more connected, more personal. But what do you know? You know, over the years we've lost some of that. But what parts of the spirit are still worth, you know, preserving? Because you know, like even when I see Columbus Day, I mean, I love it so much, right? There's certain things that I just, you know, I go to Wrigley Field. I'm going to call it Comiskey Park for the rest of my life. You know, I like to go see a ball game. That's still for me. So what's for you? What's still Chicago? You know, and just something that you still feel that spirit, that old school spirit in.
Well, I grew up in the city, and good, the bad, and the ugly. Right now, Chicago's probably a good place to be from.
Yeah.
It's not like it was when we were growing up. When we were growing up, we'd leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back for dinner. And that's what we did. We played baseball. We did this. We did that. There's a lot of camaraderie. The neighborhood spirit was there. Everybody knew everybody. The doors were always open. You didn't need an invitation to go to somebody's house. You didn't have to call. You didn't have to do these things. And that's the Chicago that I remember. That's the Chicago that I wish would come back, but we know that's not going to happen. When suburbia hit, there was a big mass migration to the suburbs, broke up a lot of the neighborhoods. Melrose Park was hugely Italian, as we all know, and a few other areas. Elmwood Park, believe it or not, Bloomingdale became highly Italian. Elmhurst has the most Italians anywhere, and Elmwood Park has the highest concentration. Uh, but the old stalwarts, Melrose Park, 72% Hispanic now. So neighborhoods change, times change, and as people spread out, your values and stuff spread out, the neighborhood spirit goes right along with that. And when the two income family started, which is probably the biggest thing that changed our lifestyle that we know. It used to be dad went out, he brought home the bacon, ma raised the kids, and then it wasn't possible anymore. There wasn't enough income coming in to make the American dream. You needed two incomes. So that kind of changed everything for a whole lot of people. So everything became more organized, where we used to play baseball at 15, 12 hours a day. Now all of a sudden you're in organized sports, you're playing 3 games a week. So the big difference.
It changed. Um,
It changed. Yeah.
do you still enjoy? I got to ask you, are you to prefer the Cubs or the Sox? You like them both? Where do your loyalties go?
You know, you're asking a question I'm not going to answer. You know that, right?
Oh, and then I'm
But
completely okay with
we
that.
all grew up. We all grew up on the north side. Well, it's North Siders. And when WGN used to publicize both games, both things, but the Sox lost a whole lot of their base when they went to pay TV. They were the first ones to go to pay TV. And when they did that, all of us kids that came home from school, we turned on TV, all we had was Cubs. So that's where most of the loyalties in the neighborhood came from, was there. So the Sox being the first ones and the innovators, now it's everybody does it. But back then, an entire generation got lost to the north side.
All right, that was good. That was good. I could peel the. I'm gonna look between the lines on that one, Vito. All right, because I don't know if you watched a couple of the other interviews I did with my dad, but my grandfather knew Minnie, and we used to go in before the Sox at Old Comiskey Park, and I had such a love for that. And then at the same time, my dad, when the Sox fired Harry Carey, he followed Harry Carey to the north side. So there's I love Chicago baseball. I guess I'll leave it at that. If I'm going to a game, I'm happy. But all right, let's slow it down for a second.
I am going to Sox game next Friday, just so you know.
There you go. Goes, hey, they're playing some real good baseball right now.
Yeah,
And PCA's got to get out of his own way because I think they got in his head. He hasn't been playing good baseball since. But he'll be fine.
yeah.
Anyway, I got to ask you, what's an old school? Yeah, I think I'm going to know the answer, and I don't mean to put you in a spot. But what's an old school Chicago restaurant or spot that instantly brings you back? What's your favorite go-to?
It's interesting because I grew up on Taylor Street.
Okay,
And now everybody goes to Taylor Street for the Italian experience. But when I grew up on Taylor Street, all we had was a beef stand and a hot dog stand. We didn't have these fancy restaurants. We really didn't. But there are some real old school Italian restaurants I like. I like Salerno's a lot.
okay.
Donny G's, even though it, it's mainly Greek that own it, they have some really good Italian food. They've done a great job for us there. Antonio Steakhouse does a nice job. There's quite a few.
We're
There's
so
quite a few.
blessed. I do say I think Chicago. And I've gone around the country a little bit, but I think we've got the best food. We could pretty much find anything you want in Chicago. We do have we're blessed with that. But I don't know. I guess I got to ask you because I do love music, and you know that. What music takes you back instantly? Is it Dean Sinatra, Perry Como, or something else completely?
The Who.
All right, I love it. I love it.
Grew up a tremendous Who fan. Tremendous.
But
Tremendous. Way back. And certain people shape you and music shapes people. And through the generations, through the years, they've kind of coincided, from our really rough and tumble days way back, and to that to actually putting it's just the way it was. Quadrophenia took me way back. That's when you start reminiscing about your teenage years when you're a little crazy. Well, I don't think I ever got uncrazy, but anyway, that kind of stuff. And now they're older, more mature, but you still go back and reminisce. And they're still producing records. Townsend got a new record coming out, and actually, if you listen to Townsend's solo efforts, they're outstanding.
I
That's what
I love
they're
it,
really
and
outstanding.
I'm going to ask you to send that to me after, so I could do that. Because all right, I'm in. That's a great answer, Vito. That is a great answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen to Psychodelic. You'll love it.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. I'm going to go for a walk later. I'm going to put it on my headphones. So there you go. Now I got to ask you, what advice would you give? You know, my son's 13. Would you give a young man trying to build a meaningful life right now without losing himself in all the noise of this world, right? Because there's a lot of it.
Talk to people. That's number one. Talk to people. Uh, I recently helped a few people out, young folks trying to get into work, trying to get it, and I'm looking at their presentation, and they're like, "Well, everything's modern nowadays. You know, we dress modern. We do." Listen, you got to dress for the guy standing in front of you. You have to speak to the man standing in front of you. Nobody's hiring a piece of paper. That's the way it goes. So communication is key all the way through. I know it's cliche, but it's true. Nowadays, everybody gets lost with this phone. Text, 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 text. You know, text and email are not a good form of communication. They're communication, but not a good form of communication. I've got more trouble on email. I've got more trouble on text than I ever will standing in front of somebody because you can do an instant correct when you're standing in front of somebody. You can't do that with text. You can't do that with email. So,
Amen.
and you got a permanent record right there in front of you all the time too.
Yeah.
Which, as you know,
Yeah.
haunts people 20 years from now.
It can. It can. You know, and that's what, you know, I guess I try to tell that to the kids too, because it sticks with you. You know, anything, even the social media posts. I know a lot of the Snapchat and they do all that stuff to kids now. You know, I didn't have that, you know. But there, you know, like I guess like anything else, there's tools, and it would depending on what you use that tool for, you could bring good with it, or you could bring some bad with it. You know, even though this AI stuff
Yeah.
kind of, I'm not a big fan of it because I feel like eventually it's gonna, you know, we're gonna be living in Terminator or something. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we'll see. But and on another note, you know, because firsthand through your parents leaving Italy, building honestly everything you have, I guess, you know, I want to take the advice that you can and what sacrifice actually looks like in real life, right? And and how do you build from that, right? Like how do you know, through this world, through the noise, I'll let you talk, you know.
Yeah. But can you repeat that question one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I
Was that a
guess
question or?
well, I guess I was kind of taking it off. It was supposed to be, but I guess what does sacrifice actually look like to you in real life? Because, you know, you've seen it firsthand through your parents, you know, through building a new life here, and then everything I've talked about with Chicago. Just like what does it actually look like to you?
What does it look like to me? Sacrifice is hard work, number one. But in addition to hard work, which is the old cliche thing, a sacrifice is you doing without so somebody else could have something. That's what it is. Uh, if if you have an opportunity, say, to help somebody, and you're giving them something of yourself, whether it be money, whether it be time, whether it be whatever, that is sacrificing. And but the biggest sacrifices aren't the ones that are advertised. It could be for anything. It could be for your kids. You know, could be for anything. You know, the amount of times you had to refinance stuff and just didn't say anything, just so they can get them through school, just so you can get them a car, just so, without any that. That's a true sacrifice to me. If you sacrifice an advertising, you did it for the publicity, you did it for yourself. But if you just do it, then at that point, that's really a sacrifice. And real sacrifices nobody really knows about
Great
for
answer,
the
Vito.
most part. Not.
Yeah, no, it's the truth, and obviously, faith, family, and service all seem to deeply connect your life. And I guess for me, and I asking for you, how has faith kind of helped guide you, you know, approach the other two and just in life?
You know, it's funny. Uh, the old saying is that there's no atheist in a foxhole. That's the way it goes. You know, and as you grow, as you get advanced in life, your faith tends to grow if you let it, and it really does shape you. Um, to me, honesty is number one. Always try to be as honest as you can. You know, I'll contradict myself enough times, not ever intending to, uh, without openly trying to, because my memory sucks. In order to be a good liar, you have to have a good memory. So it ain't there. So that's where faith actually uh, helps because you got to be honest with yourself first. That's number one. If you're not honest with yourself, you'll never be honest with anybody else. So looking at old marketing classes, you have to know how you're perceived by other people, not necessarily how you think you're perceived, but how you perceive by other people. And that's raw honesty right there. And faith drives you in that direction. Faith lets you know that there's a higher being that you can look up to that's actually shaping your life, that's working in the background. And that's a big thing. So if people that believe that they don't, people that believe and practice their faith are typically much happier than ones that don't. Of course, the other side of this is that people practice faith because they like to hide behind a cross. That's not a good thing. So some of the
Yeah,
worst people that I know are the most religious people. At least they claim to be religious, but their actions are not.
yeah.
So you got to be honest with yourself on that.
That good. I
They're
think
just not honest with themselves.
a good prayer life. I think for me, I know that for me personally, I feel like I don't need to say the rosary to be close to God, but it helps me stay humble and stay in check with myself, because there are always voices coming from people saying this or that about, so it keeps you, I guess, on the road. And the other thing that I always say, for me personally, music helps slow me down. It's something that just, it helps me, bring me back to me. So for you personally, what brings you peace when you're looking to, you finally get some time off? What do you like to do?
Crash.
Rest. Amen. How about a good glass of red wine?
Well, it might involve a glass of red wine, maybe a couple glasses of red wine,
All
but
right. Amen.
R&R is different things to different people. Rest and relaxation isn't necessarily sitting on the beach, with that pina colada in your hand with an umbrella hanging out of it. That's not necessarily peace. It's a good moment in time, and people you need that. But you find peace with yourself if you're honest with yourself. That's what I've found. May not be happy about what you see sometimes, but you got to approach it. And you got to be honest with yourself. That's what draws that inner peace. Without that, if you're not honest with yourself, you'll never find that inner peace.
Well, and I think that's beautiful advice, Vito, because I'll often say, like, if you're worried about the future, you're usually anxious, and if you're thinking about the past, you're usually depressed. But if you're living like right here now and enjoying that moment, that's where you build those, memories are made of this, and those moments with, I mean, honestly, that the Jeff Stone band, the memories I got just from that, when we did that and raised the money, it was beautiful. Like, we had so much fun, and it's just things like that where it's that unexpected, in the moment fun, and thank you for all those moments too, because like I said, for me, it's been some of the best. Truly has.
Thank you. You're a good part of it.
Well,
Believe me, you
it's
did well.
thank you,
So,
my friend. And I will. So after everything you've built, experienced, and seen, what do you know for sure about life now that you didn't know 30 years ago?
life goes on. You said it the best. If you can't live in the past, but you got to learn from it.
Yeah.
If you don't learn from the past, you're not gonna know what to commit to in the future.
Amen.
You have to have a vision. You have to know what you want, and you have to strive for it. You can't give up that easy. And if you keep giving up, keep giving a new challenge, and keep giving up, at that point you've given up on yourself.
Amen.
That's
Fall 8, get up 9.
mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Life isn't about where you're at. Well, life is going to knock you down. Everybody gets knocked down, but you got to know how to get up.
well, what did Rock saying about how hard you could get hit? It's about how hard you could get hit and keep moving forward. How much you could take and keep moving forward, because that's how winning is done. And man, life will. I think we all have our stories. But if you can learn from it, what a reward, what a joy. And Vito, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me today. I know it was just you sharing your wisdom, the memories that I just have in 2 years with you. Your heart, it's special to me. Your legacy in Chicago speaks for itself. The IAET, it speaks for itself. But your personal impact on my life, you know, uh, it goes without saying. I can't really put it into words. So thank you for your time, your leadership, and I guess just for always showing us, the rest of us, what true character looks like. Because you're the best of the best, my friend.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. If I make one more statement,
Absolutely.
if we have time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You talked about our little group, and our little group is comprised of a whole lot of individuals, and each individual brings talent. Each individual brings something to the table. Too many times you get in the groups and like, oh, I've been to every meeting. This one hasn't come anywhere. How come? Everybody participates in a different way. People sometimes give money. People give time. Some people don't have money. Some people don't have time. That's the way things work. But everybody participates in a different way. And the other thing we talk about Italian American groups is that everybody seems to think that it's a competition out there, and that's what keeps us down. It's not a competition. You have to complement each other. You got to support each other, and it's easier said than done, but that's the case. Encourage membership in more than one group, 2 or 3 different groups, because that's what makes our community stronger. That's what the cross pollination is. It really helps.
Well, and I think that's something that the community needs more than ever because, I'll add your ego's not your amigo into a couple of my songs that I sing because it's the truth. And when I think those get in the way and people see things as a competition, even for myself, I don't know if 10, 15 years ago there were as many local people singing the old, because I feel like since COVID hit, there's been a reach back for something real, and I think the music that we do sing, that I do sing, there's something to be said for it. So when I look out there and there's 4 or 5 restaurants in Chicago having that kind of music on their night packed, it warms my heart. That's not competition. We're doing something right. I heard I think it was a marketing class. You put a Pepsi machine and a Coke machine right next to each other, both get more business, not one loses business. So I guess my mindset goes a long way. So Vito, you're the best. Thank you.
Well, the music you produce and the music that you play does bring people back, and what brings people back is old-fashioned values. And I think we kind of hit on that a little bit, and that's why there's been a big resurgence for the past. It's the old-fashioned values. Uh, you had 5, 6, 10 different stars, and you listened to them your whole life. Nowadays, I can't even. I turn on the radio, I don't know half the people that are on it anymore. It's just it's gotten too commercialized,
It's different.
and obviously there's yeah, it's way different. It's way different than what it was back then. Henceforth, that's why it became so popular. So, congratulations.
No, I think a lot of you guys had. I think what you said. I had a show. It was last night, and there was a group of 8 to 10, 17-year-old boys. All right, they're celebrating a birthday, and when they walk in, they see what I'm doing, and they were hesitant. Like, we might not like you. We got to make a decision, right? So I got to be honest. Within 3 songs, I had them, and then they had to go like to the party. But then they came back and hung out for like another 5 songs later in the night. And I thought to myself, I said, well, I'm going to hire these guys as my security team as I get older. But it's good to see that younger generation kind of grabbing on. Sometimes I end up giving TED Talks on who Dean Martin is. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that people don't know that, but it's a gift. And thank you for everything you've done for me, and again for the community, Vito. This was awesome to sit down and talk to you.
Well, thank you for keeping everything alive.
I'm going to do my best, sir. Till there's no air in my lungs, I'm going to keep going. So, and God bless you, and I hope you enjoy your Memorial Day with your family, and I'm sure we'll talk this week.
Yeah. Yes, we will.
All right. God bless,
Yeah.
sir.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
God bless you too.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back. I just want to thank Vito again. I hope everybody enjoyed that. It's going to be another fun week of music. This week we got Tuesday at Chicago Prime, 6 to 9. Wednesday, I got Frankie's graduation. Can't believe he's graduating 8th grade. Thursday, we're going to be at Are We Live in Burr Ridge. And then Friday, with Carol Marchetti at Velagio's. That should be some fun. And then, Saturday is going to be the most fun for me, my little local spot, Coletti's. So I hope to see you guys come out this week. And then Sunday, we're celebrating a birthday party. So with that being said, I guess I'm going to leave you with. And through all kinds of weather, you'll find I'll never change. Through the sunshine and the shadows, I'll always be the same. Now the choir is going to sing, remember me, we're together, right or wrong. Where you go, I'll Tag along, remember me. I'm the one who loves you. God bless. Have a great week, guys.